We have the new Nikon 7200 f2.8E lens, which replaces the 7200 f2.8G Mark II lens. Nikon's lens naming is really confusing. E should come before G, not after. Anyway, E is the one with the E at the end of the name is the new one. And overall, it's much better. Whether or not it's worth the extra $600 or $700 is going to depend on how you shoot. So let's get into it. The first test was focus breathing. Great news. The f2.8E lens solves Nikon's focus breathing problems. It's almost as long as the Canon 70-200, and it's good enough that we'll happily switch to this lens with Nikon bodies for portraits and weddings because we prefer the lower noise and ISO 64 of the Nikon D810. Up next, sharpness. In real-world conditions, we didn't see much of a difference for portraiture. Now, lots of different things can factor into that, like focusing on the eyeball versus focusing on the eyelashes and backlighting and subject blur. So all these things detract from the overall sharpness. In a lab environment, in a controlled test, I did find a little bit more sharpness out of the new lens. So it is indeed a little bit sharper, but whether or not you'll actually appreciate that in real world style sports and portraiture, it probably won't be a huge difference for you. Overall, I'm going to tell you, if you have the old lens and you're thinking about upgrading just for more detail, it's probably not going to be worth it for you, but in some cases, you will see a little more detail. Compared to the Canon 70-200 on the 5DSR, we found the Nikon and the D810 to just be a little bit sharper at 200 millimeters, but I don't think people are going to be jumping ship to Nikon just for that extra detail and sharpness. For contrast, however, the new model is much, much contrastier. It's overall much, much cleaner, and we're really happy about this. This comes up a lot in portraits, weddings, and sometimes in sports because you often use the sun behind you or, say, backlit leaves behind you. In those situations, the new one is just going to overall look cleaner and sharper. Yes, you can go in and maybe use dehaze or increase the contrast with the old lens and get some of that same effect, but it's better to get it in camera whenever possible, so that's a big win for the new Nikon lens. The bokeh is almost identical if you're using the technical definition of bokeh, which is the quality of the background blur. Not a big difference, but because the focus breathing problem is solved on the new lens, there's more background blur. So your bokeh balls are much, much bigger. Otherwise, I really didn't see much of a difference. Vignetting and chromatic aberration, I didn't see any differences at all. In summary, it's most photographers aren't going to feel the need to jump to the new model, especially because the old f2.8G model is available used for around $1,600 for a good copy. So that can save you more than $1,000. And for most photographers on any kind of budget, you're going to be better off spending that $1,000 on maybe studio lighting, astute light modifiers, maybe hiring a model and getting some practice, or maybe actually spending a few bucks on some education, like reading our book, Stunning Digital Photography, which will teach you the actual art of portraiture, posing, expression, lighting, mood, all those kind of important things. We also have books on Lightroom and Photoshop, so you can get deep into the post-processing. Look me up on Amazon, Tony Northrup, or visit our store here, sdp.io/store. The ebooks are only $10, and they include lots and lots of video, many hours of video that you have not seen. So whether you prefer learning from video or books, we got you covered. I hope that helped. Give us a like, share, and if you have any questions, comment. Be sure to subscribe because we have a full portrait lens comparison where we'll be comparing portrait lenses from Canon, Nikon, Fuji, the new GM lens from Sony, Pentax cross-manufacturer comparison coming up soon. Subscribe to see that in a couple of weeks. Bye.